hey, my coworker's trying to get me to play Magic the card game, but I don't think my street cred can handle it. Got any suggestions? That's from Too Cool for Cards.
You don't have any street cred.
Yeah, well, first off, guaranteed, if you listen to this podcast, you ain't got no cred. I'm sorry.
You know
I love you listeners, but come on, you ain't hard. But also, more importantly,
you don't know what it's like on the inside.
More importantly, fuck your street cred, because like that shit's gonna keep you from doing all kinds of cool stuff that you would otherwise miss out on, like playing Magic. And by cool stuff, I don't mean in the traditional sense, where anybody would ever look at you and say, "Oh, that's a desirable sexual object." But you'll probably have fun.
Griffin, you don't think ability to play Magic is a trait that people look for in a sexual partner?
I don't think anybody has ever perused somebody's swamp deck and gone, "This person is fuckable." Highly fuckable.
Now, I'm going to disagree, because I've been to PAX. Mm-hmm. I'm going to disagree with you. I think that's probably happening. I do want to, if I had someone who was trying to get me to play Magic, I would probably do it. My problem is that I'm a 31-year-old man. I live in my house. And I mean
Isn't that better than living outside your house?
I mean that in the hermetically sealed sense.
Yeah,
like Justin, I live in my home.
Justin is sealed for freshness inside of his house.
Right. That's how I keep my cherubic look. Is I don't let myself get exposed to the elements.
His front door is tamper proof. So
yeah, no one's getting in here.
Real talk. If I had the only reason I'm not playing like super nerdy ass board games in Austin is just because I haven't met a group of people to play those with yet. Like, you can't be afraid of this.
Here's the thing. I've realized recently that it's a lot like trying to find what I imagine trying to find like a drug dealer or buying or selling drugs. There's a lot of like innuendo and like raised eyebrows when it comes to like D&D. A new guy just started working at the theater, and like we were talking about like video games, and Dragon Age came up, and somehow that led to this like, have you ever played Dungeons and Dragons? And it was like, I mean, I may have.
I remember
when
we were trying to find out if our group of friends in Huntington would be interested in playing the new D&D, when like this was a few years back, and like this was a conversation. It was like our cool going out drinking buddy group of friends that I don't think we'd ever even played like Risk with or anything like that. Like, trying to broach that subject with them is like two fucking intelligence agency officers like trying to drop secret codes at each other. Like, hey, have you ever watched Lord of the Rings? Like, do you like that, like, swords and shit?
Yeah, hey, what's that all about, huh?
Like in like Willow, like goblins, and just like, hey, do you like Candyland and
Just sorry, operation or anything?
What if we?
Can you imagine a world in which someone just like knocked on a door and was just like, I love Dungeons and Dragons, and I think you do too. Let's do this. Oh, okay. Oh,
where are you going?
Suddenly, it's out here in the light of day. Oh, it's a lot more attractive than I would have thought.
Here's what's up. And I used to feel this nerd shame in a big way. And even when I was like writing about games professionally, like I would be embarrassed to tell people what I did, because I was in college and I cared about what other people thought about me. But like, if you want to play Magic the Gathering, like if you want to get super into it, just fucking do it. Like, if you want to do something and it's healthy, then just do it, and don't let your so-called street cred, which isn't a real thing that exists. Everybody's too busy like giving a shit about whether or not people think what they're doing is nerdy to actually do it to other people. So just fucking.
But okay, I see your point. Like I know what you're saying, and I do think anybody can get hung up on what outside perception. But at some point, your inner perception comes into play too. I mean, I think it's legitimate to say that you don't want to see. That's not the kind of person that you want to be. You don't see yourself as the sort of person who plays Magic the Gathering. Like, that's not your.
But that is.
But they haven't tried it yet.
They haven't. First off, they haven't tried it yet. But second off, it's fucking stupid to define yourself that like. when you play, like if you play Magic the Gathering, if you start playing it, you are not all of a sudden the guy who plays Magic the Gathering. And if you do think of yourself that way, then you need to...
literally defined, yes, you're incorrect.
Okay, but
go on.
You know what I mean. You're not like, hey, I'm the Magic guy. Like, people don't introduce you at parties.
How many times do you think you need to get spotted by babes playing Magic the Gathering before that particular image
you're
sticks?
Goofing.
Answer
you
one.
Are goofing.
One.
You are goofing right now. But this is like the actual thing that this person is worried about. Just fucking own it.
It's 2012. It's not 1995 where you're gonna get beat up.
Yeah, nobody's gonna like
Magic the
a
Gathering.
nerd is not gonna, or a bully's not gonna come and like drop a big pile of sand in front of you and then proceed to kick it all over your face in cards. Like, that scenario, by the way, did not take place on a beach. That's why they had to bring their own sand to kick on you.
Okay. They're not going to open a bag of sand and dump it at your feet and then wait for the whole thing to empty out and then kick it.
I swear to God, if you own it, like, you are never, ever, ever going to have an issue with this.
When John Locke was playing board games with his friend across the phone, is that when you thought John Locke ruled? Or did you think John Locke ruled when he went to an island and brought a box of knives and started getting it? That's like, you don't ever see him like on the island.
Carved his own chess set.
Like, yeah,
with those knives, Justin.
Okay, correct.
He played backgammon on the beach with Walt, and
they're just trying to cling to civilization at that point. That's different.
If he had Sid Meier's Civilization on the island, he would have put his knives down and said, "Oh, I think I'm going to get really good at this."
And maybe there's a chance that you start playing Magic Gathering with your friend, and then the writers realize that he's going nowhere, so they write him off the show until like season 6, and then they bring him back.
Yeah,
there's lots of things I haven't tried that I don't think that I don't think are cool, so I don't want to do them.
Like what?
Like we just had a 10-minute goof about how we're not going to take swing dancing.
But that's different because
we don't want to be those
when
people.
If I got like super into Magic and I went out to like a park or something and had an intense Magic the Gathering match, I wouldn't be doing it so other people would look at me. Quite the opposite, actually. But if I went to the park and started swing dancing, I might as well be like, I might as well put up signs and fucking charge admission because I want people.
But would you wear a cloak? That's what I keep coming back to is my question. Would you wear a cloak?
You're bordering on hate speech right now, so watch it.
You're being very mean to Magic the
Thin
Gathering.
Ice.
I'm not. No, I'm not. Like, I play, like, this isn't what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, like, there are things that you don't have to feel peer pressure to be nerdier than you are. That's what I'm saying.
You also don't need to feel peer pressure to not try.
That's what I'm saying. Everything that you are worried about, I swear to you, because this person's not going to go around like throwing magic cards in everyone's face, like I'm the king of all magic. That's
unless it turns out he is the
if
king
it turns
of all
out you're the king of all magic,
prophesized about for centuries.
Go.
There is a king of right. He is coming.
Make it rain.
Praise be his name.
Go make it rain.
Right.
But that's not what this person's doing. This person is worried about outside scrutiny that it doesn't fucking exist. I swear to you, it doesn't exist.
So let's boil it down. This is what I think we're saying. Stop, take a second, close your eyes, don't worry about anyone else. If you truly don't want to play because you're not interested in doing it, fine. Then like you say, you know what, I've got enough stuff going on, I'm not interested in it, great. But if your only hesitancy to not do it is that you're afraid of being judged by other people, try it.
Yeah.
But do remember that you are judged by other people all the time.
You aren't being judged by other people all the time. And if you are, fuck those people. Like, that's going to have zero...
Because I guarantee they do something that they're embarrassed
about.
Yeah,
if you live your whole life, like, just...
Maybe they're playing roker poker at home.
You're
constantly, every day.
If you want to play roker poker in public, I think you should be able to. I'm trying to get those laws passed through Congress. That's a tough putt, though.
Public masturbation. It's a big thing with these people. What is your hang up, old
prudes?
Man?
It's the 60s. Don't.
It's not.
Don't. It makes me sad for people who have to keep their freak on a leash. You know.
Griffin's not afraid to tell everyone about his Pokemon days.
Yeah,
by which I mean
current
to present.
Yeah.
Now this day he's telling the person about the day that he is
Pokemon
in.
days.
I'm not saying go around and write songs about Magic the Gathering and then sing them to people. That's not what I'm saying, because then it's a fetish. But don't be afraid to do it just because somebody walking by might tweet about it. Like, fuck it, man. It's life is way too short.
What if Steve Buscemi plays Magic and you don't get to be friends with Steve Buscemi because he wants to play Magic the Gathering with you and you're afraid to try it?
If you're not embarrassed about it, there's nothing anybody can do that's going to that can hurt you, right? Like, you're doing it, you're owning it, you're living it. That's great. What I'm saying is, if you're embarrassed about it, like it doesn't jive with your own sense of self, then you shouldn't feel like you have to do it. Like, it shouldn't, like, it's okay to think that things aren't for you or they're not how you want to conduct yourself, I guess is what I'm saying.
I'm just saying everyone should watch the hit Jim Carrey movie Yes Man.
Yes.
Don't watch the Yes Man.
Yes.
Don't watch Yes Man.
Watch the Yes Man. Say yes.
Okay.
Because it's the sequel to Liar Liar, which everyone loved.
Why didn't they just call it that?
This is literally,
Like,
we had this conversation on the last podcast, and I edited it out. Yes.
Really?
Okay. About
I
Yes Man?
swear to God.
I won't have it
Okay.
again. I feel like I maybe didn't make my.
I
don't
understand
wanna
what
come
you're
off as
saying, but
hypocritical
there is-
because I do review video games for a living. But like, there are levels of being nerdy that I can't get in. I'm overweight. Like, I've got some strikes again. I'm pasty. I've got some strikes against me. There are levels of nerddom that I cannot embrace as a rule.
I played
right?
Magic a couple times in high school. Like, sat down, had somebody walk me through it, teach me how to play it, played a game or two. Wasn't for me. Like, it wasn't something I picked up on and I've continued on to this day. But, like, leading up to it, it was my friend Eric, and he kept saying, like, oh, come on, it's really great. And I didn't want to play it because it was, quote, uncool.
Yeah.
And then I played it and was like, oh, I could see where someone would totally get into this. But this is not for me. This is not something I'm going to dedicate my life to.
But, like, okay, here's an example. SCA guys, right? Mm-hmm. Society of Creative Writers. They're in the park. They've got lances. They've got armor, and they're morphing, I think is what it is.
They're
They're animorphs.
They're morphed from
Animorphing.
morphing, is what they're doing.
Do I think that would be fun to do for an afternoon? Of course
Fuck yeah.
I do. But I also know, like, you can't unring that bell.
That's a bad example because that is tantamount to medieval swing dancing.
Yeah,
basically, yes, true. Right? You could do it on your lawn.
Nobody
and
does
not.
Magic the Gathering as performance art.
if
So if someone can figure that out, I will kickstart it.
If there's a thing, if you play, what I'm saying though is if this person plays Magic and really likes it and it makes him happy to play it, like, don't feel. If you just own it, then you're not going to feel embarrassed about it. If you don't let it define yourself, if you just say, yeah, it's a thing I do, whatever, like, it's fun. I enjoy doing it.
That is the thing. That is the key, Griffin. You're right. And that is the salient point that I want to get across. If you're not embarrassed about it, then don't worry about it. But
I'm saying that's a switch.
No, but I think you're using the word embarrassed where you should say if you don't like it, if you don't enjoy it.
That's not what we're saying. That's not what we're saying at all. What I'm saying is the embarrassment in your brain, and I swear to God, this is true, it's a switch, and you can flip it. You can flip that switch from, like, I used to be embarrassed to, like, fucking ride the bus in Chicago and like play my Nintendo DS. Like, I would not do that because I didn't like people watching me play video games. But, like, I flipped that switch eventually, and I realized that this is a thing I want to do on here. Like, it's a great way to pass the time. I'm gonna do it. And then, it seriously is as easy as that. We spent a long time on this question, but I think, I don't know. It's a thing that it comes up, like, really, really frequently for me.
But like, yes, I get your point. Like, I understand what you're saying, but that level of, like, it's not as easy as you're making it seem, because that level of social recalibration, deciding that something is appropriate socially, like just deciding it for
it doesn't
yourself,
matter if it's appropriate.
That doesn't always fly, like, because you still do live in a society. Like, it's the same reason I think sweatpants are comfortable, but I'm not wearing them every day because that's not
what I'm saying is if you wear those sweatpants on a bus and fucking 55 people on that bus see you and all say, look at this fucking goon in his sweatpants, and then they go home to their families at night, they are not going to talk about your goddamn sweatpants. They're not going to remember that you exist. You're dead to them. That's listen, like, this is not a message of sunshine and flowers. Like, you are so fucking insignificant that maybe 10 people are going to remember you after you die. And those 10 people sure as fuck aren't going to remember that you played Magic cards. I guarantee it.
So good luck.
Like, life is meaningless. Life is meaningless, I guess. And like, you're super insignificant, and you're probably not going to be famous. If you get famous, then yeah, maybe you shouldn't be playing Magic cards. But Steve Buscemi, if you're listening, and I hope that you are, probably put them down.
Or maybe you should play Magic
Maybe you
cards.
should. You could lead the fucking revolution like Vin Diesel when he's like, yeah, I play D&D. Like, he fucking started the movement, and he made it easier for the rest of us. And thank you, Vin Diesel. But like, seriously, nobody gives a shit. Zero people give a shit. There are zero shits to be given.
Unless you wear sweatpants every day.
No, even then.
No, Griffin, I'm sorry. I have to stand my ground.
It's so extreme that I could walk around Austin with 10 fake dicks attached to my body. And I could run around, and I could be the fun guy who runs into people and slaps them with his fake dicks as he jogs down the street. I could ride a fucking Jazzy, and I could use a giant fake dick as a lance, and I could run it into people. I could beat someone to death in the street with a fake dick, and in a year and a half, nobody would remember me. This is, like, you think I'm joking, but I'm being 100% serious. I could be the fake dick murderer, and I would not be remembered.
But what I'm saying is that, yes, while you may be technically correct, that behavior becomes your defining aspect. Nobody's going to say, man, the fake dick murderer has gray hair. It's just not going to be something they know.
You're right. But what I'm saying is in 10 years, they're going to be at dinner, and someone's going to say, do you remember the fake dick murderer? And the other person's going to say, no, I don't. I don't remember what my wife looks like, and I've been away from my house for 6 hours. I'm not joking. These are things that I seriously think about when I think about whether or not I should do this thing in public. You make such a small impact in the world that, like, nobody's gonna give a shit. Just play Magic cards. Everybody play Magic cards. This podcast is sponsored by Wizards of the Coast. Thank you, Wizards of the Coast. They are paying us exclusively in energy. So we did like 3 questions this week because of this question, but.
I know, but I feel like, I'll be honest with you. I feel like I feel like this is one of the few times where the differences in our age is dictating this, like dictating these answers. Because, I mean, I do think it matters what people like. I do think it's okay to care about what people think about you.
Now let me weigh in because you guys have been arguing for like 20 minutes.
Thank you.
It's just occurred to me that like. I feel this same way, but about things in the reverse, like joining a fantasy football league. Like, if someone was like, play my D&D game, I'm like, okay, totally cool. But if somebody was like, play in my fantasy baseball, fantasy, football, March Madness thing, I would go, oh, I'm gonna look stupid.
I gotta tell you,
like, I'm gonna do this.
I'm right there with, like, I have the same. My friend Justin Minsker has asked me, I think, to be on 2 different leagues of like a bowling league and a kickball league, and like both times I was like, no, that's not for me. Just because like I would kick the ball and it would hit a child, and then I would be embarrassed. That's the same thing. You're right. Like I've come to terms with the kind of person that I am, and that person is kind of nerdy and enjoys watching sports. I'm embarrassed to try and cross over.
But this is what I'm saying. Travis is exactly right. This is what I'm saying. This guy has come to terms with the person that he is, and I think it's okay to come to terms with yourself being a person who wouldn't play a fantasy card game.
But I disagree because I think you should at least try. I don't think you can.
Did you try kickball?
Yeah, when I was fucking 9 years old. I have no pleasant memories from the experience.
I'm just saying that I think it's really easy to say, live like you're dying, and it doesn't matter what other people think, and you're insignificant and they won't care until you're actually in that moment where you're playing Magic the Gathering and somebody walks by and snickers behind their hand, and suddenly you feel like a tiny, insignificant
But if you
person
let that kind of shit bother you, then your life is going to be just miserable.
No. I'm not saying that you should let it bother you. I'm saying that as much as I would love it to be a switch that flips, it's not. Like, you got to convince yourself, and it's a constant thing to remind yourself not to care what other people think.
But I still don't think, like, that's not even what I'm talking. Like, if somebody wants to judge like that, like somebody wants to get a kick because their personal, like, adjudication of what's cool doesn't grok with yours, like, that's, like, fuck that guy. I'm with Griffin on that. Like, I think, yeah, screw them. I'm just saying that it's okay to have a series of guidelines for yourself in the way in which you want to
yes, but I also think that you can completely rob yourself of a positive experience. Yeah. I remember going to the Bob Dylan concert with you, Justin, and sitting there and like everybody else is on their feet and dancing and me going, this isn't my usual way of enjoying a concert and I'm not that big into Bob Dylan. And you looked at me and said, you're never going to see Bob Dylan in concert again. You should get up and enjoy this. And I did and ended up having a great time in spite of myself because I just let myself do it. Yeah. And didn't worry about anything or try to like rob myself of a positive.
The problem with the problem with creating your self identity, like you're talking about, Justin, and knowing the kind of person that you are and using those as guidelines is that's fine and that's a great way to like live your life with that guiding light. But the very first time that keeps you from doing something awesome that would become a new defining like thing in your life, it's all fucking forfeit. It's all for naught.
That's accurate.
I'm just like,
I see where you're coming from.
One of my friends invited me to go play golf, and it's like I've never played before. I'm not an athletic person. I knew I was gonna fucking humiliate myself because that is a game that requires both physical prowess and accuracy. And I was embarrassed, and I was embarrassed like my first few holes because I shot it and I hit a child. It's a big problem for me.
It's a big theme.
But then like I had a great time, and now I want to go play it more. Like do as much new shit as you possibly can because that's the only way that you can know whether or not you're gonna like it. YOLO.
You had some really good advice there, and then you completely ruined it.
Rolos.
Okay.
Frodo.
There it is.
We've been recording for about 6 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I feel bad because I feel like we didn't.
Last question.
I feel like we didn't bring any goofs.
No, I think
we got
some goofs in there, but I think we got some real like we got that advice that like is broad. I feel like Delilah right now.
I'll tell you what's fucking with me, and maybe this will help to inform my. I have like in my head ideas of people who I think are cool, right? Like, oh man, that's a cool person. That's the kind of person I'd like to be. Okay. And there are some parts of all culture, not just nerd culture, but anything, watching bad TV, whatever, like that I think to myself, I get the thought of like, man, that person would never do this. And like that's, but like, and that's the thought that I have. Like, I think that person's cool. And I think that person lives like the sort of life that I would like to have or be perceived of having. And then, but there's no way that they would be caught dead doing this thing.
We're 114 episodes in. And from going over Yahoo Answers and everything that people have asked is, you don't think that person that you think is infallibly cool goes home and does something
that's what I'm saying,
like uncool or just super like weird?
Straight real talk. Do you think I'm cool, Justin? Do you think I'm a cool person?
I think you're a cool dude.
Okay. When I was 15, I spent probably $800 on Pokemon cards. Like, you can't, because if everybody else is thinking like that, and I think a majority of the people are, then they're not, like, airing out their secrets. There's no way to really know, like, what a person is like until you, like, marry them. That's basically it. Like, there's no way of knowing what kind of shit a person is into if they are also living their life, like, embarrassed of the things that make them happy.
Mm-hmm.
So...
Inspirational advice.
Yeah.
So YOLO. In short, YOLO.
Seriously. YOLO.
I think you should but do play it in private though, because it may not work for you.
You should also play it in private because it's not really that fun to watch.
It's like the most boring game ever.
That's
Pokemon,
like the most boring thing.
Pokemon cards though. Oh,
no, that shit gets intense.
That game has
at least half the cards are racist, so you don't want to
Mm-hmm.
say them out loud.
You know, it's great. True. Strip Pokemon cards.
Yeah.
Yeah.